Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Recently we did a video talking about some of the better free-to-play or at least new commander options for players, and I'm going to talk about one in this video, not from that video, but a different one that was brought up and I think is a little bit more troop specific, but they can be a very good commander to use, especially if you're newer to the game or less of a spender. So today we're talking about Frodo and Sam, how to gear them, what troops to use, all that good stuff coming up in just 1 second. Okay, so the reason I didn't include Frodo and Sam in the first video is because they're a little bit more troop specific in my opinion, but there are quite a few options. I think some work better than others, but I want to talk about their kit first, how you skill them so you understand how it works, and then we'll talk about the troops you need to run them. Okay, first up is their Master of Bag End ability. It's their top R1, which is always nice because it means as soon as you unlock them, you can use this ability, which is very nice. And it says that damage received by the commander's formation, negative 30% when it's maxed out. Now, negative 30% is a really big chunk, and we're going to add a few things onto that, but negative 30% damage received, but their damage dealt is negative 20, and it actually at level 5 reduces that by 10%, and they get 10 unit defense. But the thing we really care about is just the negative 30% damage they take here. Now that is the most important part, and if you did nothing else, you'd probably be okay. But the next thing I'd add is Ring Bearers. It is the R5, so a little bit later in terms of if you're a new player, you might not have this right away, but Ring Bearers is going to give them a chance to evade, but they also have a chance to succumb to madness. But at the 5th level, they no longer have that chance to succumb to madness. So in addition to reducing the damage that their troops take really significantly, they also have a chance to avoid damage altogether, which is very good. Now, there are a few options, but the best troop option for them, in my opinion, is the Great Beast. If you guys did not know, the Great Beast, I think, are the best taunt in the game, better than anything else, because what they do, first of all, they have this Bulwark skill right here that says defense +2, and then 3 enemy formations prioritize attack on this unit. So it's not formations units, it's everybody. Everything in 3 formations is going to target these guys, really leaving your other commanders and troops alone, which is really nice. The next thing you have is Wild Yell, which is for on their own turn, they're going to boost the damage by 20% for allied ranged units. Not as significant because troops aren't really doing a lot of damage, but if you do pair them with ranged troops, it's going to be a little bit extra on top, which doesn't hurt. But the big thing is this Bulwark ability right here. Another option is going to be Swan Knights. Swan Knights have the Protector ability. This is in the first 3 rounds. It increases defense by 20, and it also protects 2 allied formations, which means they take normal attacks on behalf. So just normal attacks, not all the damage, but it's still going to do something, which is pretty nice. Another good option can be Mountain Trolls as well. Mountain Trolls are going to have this massive presence ability. In the first 3 rounds, 100% chance to make 3 enemy formations normal attacks only target this unit. So hopefully you get the idea. We're trying to find units that have some kind of taunt. I think the Great Beasts are the best, but you can use Swan Knights, you can use Mountain Trolls, you can even just use melee troops and use ranged on your other units, and that will help a little bit as well. But you really want to focus fire onto whatever unit you're using in Frodo and Sam's formation. Now, we've already talked about the 30% damage they do, but we're going to make this go a lot higher and make it a lot more effective, because 30 by itself isn't quite going to cut it, but this number can get very high with purple gear, which is the nice thing, which is why I wanted to make a video on this, because I feel like in terms of their usefulness, they can be very useful with purple gear. Of course, if you have the gold gear, it could get even better, but I'm using purple gear and loving it, so I want to show you what I'm using on them. Okay, first up for the gear, before you actually put any actual gear on, we want to look for an evasive action set. This is going to give us negative 20% damage received in the first 3 rounds. So we already have our 30% here. This is for the entire battle. And in the first 3 rounds, we're going to get an additional 20%. So for those first 3 rounds, we are at negative 50% damage received. Next up, we're just going to look for high unit defense gear. If I'm not mistaken, all the stuff I have on here is the best in slot for purples for unit defense. So we have the Cutlass, we have the Superior Hauberk, we have the Horseman's Helm, and we have the Drums of Moria. I've shared it before, but I have a spreadsheet that I'll link down below that has all of the gear in the game on it, and you can filter by literally everything. So you can go over to the unit defense tab, which I'll pull up really quick to show you. Now, again, I'll link this down in the description below if you want to look at it, but how I have it sorting right now is just to show me epic gear. So I have Flawless unchecked here in the rarity area, and then I have sorted by unit defense, so I can see which items, these are all just purple items that give unit defense, which again, like I have on mine, is Superior Hauberk, Horseman's Helm, Drums of Moria, and Cutlass. Those are the best ones. However, at whatever else you have, if they have unit defense, that's a very solid option. So utilize this however you like, but that's down below. Now, last but not least, we're going to look at their command stat. Their command stat here is right now at 314 with the purple gear that I have on. So it's going to reduce the damage received by the army by another 23.9. Let's just round it to 20%. So in the first 3 rounds, we are reducing damage on their formation by 70+%. Now, after those first 3 rounds, it's like 50 something percent, but really not bad for purple gear on Sam and Frodo. They do not take a lot of damage, and they will definitely survive if you're using them with the right troops. Again, if you're totally outmatched, I wouldn't expect to just like beat whales with this, but if you want some survivability to allow your damage dealers to do stuff, they are a great support option. They're a tier 2, so they're not too bad to get. They are usable at respect 0 or respect 1. They do get better up to 5, but I think they're one of the better budget commanders, and honestly one of the commanders who got the best facelift in 2.0. and 1.0. Frodo and Sam are really not a thing. So the fact that they can be used now as a support or a tank and be really the tankiest unit in the game, or the tankiest commander, is very impressive. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about the order of your army. If I were you, I'd be putting Sam and Frodo in the first slot, selecting them first to put into your army. Army position does not matter, but if your leader, if the person marching gets completely killed, then the army cannot march or move for 10 minutes. So it's nice to have your tankiest guy in the one slot, and they will probably be the last ones to die every time if you do die. But like I said, I've got some, this is how I run it. I've got some bow knights here on these guys. They've got good HP. They get a little bit extra damage from the great beasts. And I have eagles and Gandalf the White, so he's got a little bit more initiative. But this is what I'm running, and I'm loving it on the alt. Honestly, it's been very, very surprising and very fun to use. Again, assuming I'm not hitting the biggest whales in the game, they get some very good reports. They draw out a lot, which for the size of this account is fantastic. So let me know if you're a fan of Frodo and Sam, or if you've hit some Frodo and Sams and you kind of draw. It's very annoying. I sometimes hit other Frodo and Sams, and it is the biggest draw ever. So kind of interesting, but let me know what you guys think of it, and that'll do it for this one, and hopefully I see you guys in the next video.